Alright, good afternoon. Welcome to day 4, not day 3. I'll change that later. We're going to block out some shapes today and try and sort of get our hot rod just really taking shape. So, yeah, let's get going. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dan Rutter. I've worked in the film industry for the last 3 years as a CAD modeller. Different job every day, absolutely love it. Never know what we're going to do. But today we're going to work on Hunt Doherty's concept here for this hot rod. He's got loads of really cool stuff over on ArtStation, so do go check him out. It does look like a complicated build, there's lots of little bits, but we're breaking it down, and the main thing is, no matter what happens, don't panic. Okay, so as I was saying, what we're going to do is we've been concentrating on the front wing section of the hot rod. And I'm quite guilty of this, is sometimes you get a little bit too in depth in the details and things. And at the end of the last video I realised that maybe these wings are too far apart, and I'm now wondering to myself whether we should check the ratio of everything else. So I thought today we'll cover doing some just quick block shapes, just blocking in areas, get a real kind of rough thing, and then we can go back and we can swap out some of those blocks for more detailed blocks as we move on. Other things I've realised is in my previous videos none of you could see the bottom of my screen, which is quite a vital piece really. That's where the timeline is. So I've rescaled everything, moved everything around. Hopefully this should make things clearer. And again, if anybody does have any questions or queries, leave me a comment or drop me a message. I did do a bonus button yesterday, just a short little 10-minute video dealing with how to import DXF files from other CAD software and the issues you might face with that and how to get around them. If there's any other requests for anything you want answers to, again, drop me a comment. Let's get going. So just a reminder, this is the concept hot rod that we're going to be working on. And this is where we got to at the end of the last video. So my thoughts, if I just pop this over here, I'll pop this one over here, do a little bit of a side by side, is if I try and sort of match that angle, that maybe this distance between them is just a little bit too big here. And maybe looking at it, do these sections need to be a little bit longer? So what I figured we would do, like I say, is we're just going to block in some shapes. We're just going to try and mass out the rest of it very simply, and then we can reassess what's going on. Okay, so now you guys can see my timeline at the bottom here. And as I said at the other video, when your timeline is too long and it stretches off either end of the screen, you can use the controls down here in the bottom left hand corner just to move to the end. And now you can see that we've got a little tag slider that we can grab hold of in order to move backwards through our timeline. Like so. There we go. Okay, so let's block out this front engine shape, this bit here. Maybe this piece on the inside here as well would be quite useful to do. So we'll go up to our create new sketch. We're going to go from this inside face. I'm going to spin the model round. And we're just going to start drawing up a bit of a shape. So that engine block is kind of triangular. Something maybe like that. Finish that sketch, go to extrude, select our shape. Just going to manually pop that out to maybe there. Okay, again call this up, have a little look, rotate that round. I'm wondering if this needs to be a slightly shallower angle. Typical. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a bit shallow. Let's sort that out. So we can go back to our, this is the bit you guys could normally never see, is down in our tree here. This is the extrude feature that I'm highlighting now. And we want to edit the sketch that we used to make that feature. So we can just right click here, edit sketch. We can pick up any of these points, just move it around a little bit, maybe drop it down, a touch like that. Finish sketch, there we go. You know, a little bit more, Edit sketch. So as I keep saying, a lot of this is interpretation. You know, I think that would then be straight down, something like that. Maybe grab that point. Yeah, it looks cool. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna look good. Let's have a little look here. So we've got this kind of block shape. Now we can also see that there's a sort of a slight taper, a bit of a shape to that front there. So we can quickly do that. We don't want to get too bogged down. We are just blocking stuff out, but I think it will help. So I'm just starting a sketch on the bottom of that shape. I'm just going to draw a line, something like that, as long as it intersects both sides. Finish that. And this time we're going to go to modify and split body. We could do it as a closed shape and just do a cut, but I figured I'd show you guys some different ways of doing stuff. So body to split, we want to select our main engine block here, our splitting tools, we want to select our sketch. It generates this sort of slice, and we press OK. And now it's split it up into two bodies, so we can find that one in our list and turn it off. Should be that one. There we go. Okay. So yeah, let's look on this block kind of shape here. So this is going to come down, fill in a little bit of this. It comes in quite far. So now I'm looking at this thinking, is this engine block too long? So let's just very quickly change that one more time. Edit sketch. I'm going to bring that back. Say there. We're going to bring that one back to about there. Finish sketch. Okay, so now you go, something's gone wrong. Don't panic. I can see here that the error is with my body split, and that is probably because since we changed I'll turn our body back on where we had it hidden. When we drew our sketch line, you can see it's not got its relations. So we can go into edit sketch again, right click, edit sketch, and we can fix this so this doesn't happen again. I'm just going to delete that line for now, and I'm going to draw a line in. That's that. But this time I'm going to select an endpoint. I'm going to hold down shift and select the edge of our engine block, and I'm going to say that they are coincident. Now that tells it that that endpoint is always going to be stuck to that line. So when we go back later, and if we change that sketch again, which I promise I'll try not to, that endpoint will now stay stuck to it. And we'll do the same thing down here. So we'll select bottom line and baseline. So it's shift, and then coincident. There we go. We can also specify some dimensions if we want. So hit D for the dimension tool. Make this a round number, say 300, and make this one a round number, 280. Finish sketch. Okay. So we'll see whether or not we can reuse that geometry. So if we edit our split body, edit feature, bodies to split, this one, splitting tool. It's going to be a sketch that for some reason we cannot see, so we'll just check that our sketch is turned on. Cancel that. Wind backwards. There's our sketch. Now it annoys me you can't right click on a sketch in the tree at the feature tree at the bottom and turn it on or off there. Instead I have to try and find it in here, which is tedious. It does tell me what it's called though, sketch 39. So here we go. Okay, there we go. Now we can see it. That's going to help. So we can move our feature tree to the other side of the body. Edit feature. We've already got our body selected. Our splitting tool. This one. And okay. There we go. Can re-hide our sketch 39. So this is it. You know, if something goes wrong, the key is always not to panic. Just work your way back through the tree. And sort of assess at what point it went wrong and try and fix it. Okay, so now we're going to do this wedge shape, this piece here. So let's start a new sketch. We'll do it on the side of this sketch, just so I've got it for reference and I can see it. I'm going to project that information from that face. I've just got it here. Quickly just check back on here. So it starts a little bit higher up, follows a little bit further. That's definitely not a vertical there. That might be a one there. Okay, let's just draw something and see what happens. So let's start a little bit higher up. We're going to come out a lot further. I'm going to come back at an angle. I think there should be a second angle. I'll move these about before I do anything. Go back to here, back up to the top. Just going to get that. So we can click on our view box, our little cube, and that sort of snap. I'm going to hit escape because you can see I've still got this. I'm trying to point with my finger, that doesn't work. I still got the little logo next to my cursor telling me I'm trying to draw a line. So I can hit escape to come out of that. And then you're just in the sort of a general selection setting. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Grab hold of that line. That whole line up. Yeah, something like that. Okay, go back to our finished sketch. Extrude. Select both of these shapes. I'm just going to move it right the way over here, and we're going to set this to be another new body. So the plan is we're going to go in and replace these bodies with detailed versions. So we're just going to start blocking in some shapes. So I think that's kind of cool. What we might just quickly do is add a chamfer here, quite a big one. Yeah. So we get something like that. Okay. So next, what should we do next? Let's have a look. We could put this roof on. We could just put something on that represents this kind of shape. That'll give us a look at the sort of overall length, and see, you know, kind of how we're doing. We won't worry about the wings for the minute. We're just going to do that sort of rough roof outline. Difficult things to say. Okay, so you guessed it. Create a sketch. Choose this plane here. Now, this is where it's quite useful. I'm going to put my image, my reference image, open on another screen. You know, if you print it out or you have it on your phone or you have something so you can constantly see it and keep it, it saves you flicking backwards and forwards an awful lot. What I will do is there is a nice little program which is free for concept images like this, which would make a lot of sense if I was using it. I'll set it up for tomorrow's stream, and I'll put the details to it in this stream. but it allows you to pull up reference images, always have them floating on top of your active window, so you're not having to flick backwards and forwards. And yeah, it's really cool, but I'll cover that tomorrow. Okay, let's start drawing some curves. So under our create, we've got arcs, and we've got a whole bunch of different types. I think for this we might just start with a 3-point arc. A 3-point arc tends to be point 1, point 2, and then the third point is changing the shape of the arc between all three. So we kind of want to follow the curve that we've established here. So we'll do one. We'll come quite far back. I think the back end is maybe just a little bit higher than the front end. Something maybe like that. That looks kind of cool, mean and aggressive. Okay. So now what we can do is we can do our offset. Select that line. Just going to give it a sort of a thickness. So to roughly where those windows are, maybe there. Let's make that a round number, 240. We can just make that a solid shape. Okay. Finish our sketch. Go to extrude. We'll just slide this over. Rotate round. Yeah, something like that. Maybe back just a smidge. Oh, don't want to flare it. There we go, that one. Something like that. Okay. So let me bring this over again. So we've got this sort of chamfer slope detail on here. I think that's going to be quite nice to sort of see a vague representation of that. So go back to our chamfer. Do that. Something like that. It's kind of cool. Okay. Now we've got all this space inside here to kind of fill up. Now we could just put in a block that represents this sort of shape here. It's probably not a bad thing to do. So what we'll do is we'll draw that from the top down, and then we'll just slice some pieces off of it. So it's just a representation at this point for size. Start your sketch. Choose our ground plane. I'm going to put my reference image open. Start a sketch. If you don't have a copy of this reference image already, do look up on ArtStation, Hue. You can download it from there. I don't really want to post it, seeing as how it's not my work. I'd rather, give him the hits. Go to his website, see what's going on. Just checking backs and forwards. So we're going to start from about here. Actually, we will start from the center point here. Here we go. Come across to there. Come out a little bit here. This is going to be that sort of one of my cats has just come in. And then we'll bring that back to here, something like this, just as a rough shape. I'll finish that sketch, we'll extrude that up. So that to be, you guessed it, another new body. Now I'm going to put it so it completely intersects that roof at the moment. Choose OK. Now you're like, well, that looks weird. So yeah, it does. But I'm now going to cut this profile out here, this sort of window detail. I'm going to take a chunk out the back because it seems to have this sort of very diagonal here. It's not flat. I'm probably going to do a little diagonal out the front here as well. There's a sort of a leading to that straight, and then maybe a diagonal. So I'm going to spin it round. I'm going to start a new sketch on this face. I'm going to do this diagonal at the back. Cut something like that. I'm going to do this slight diagonal at the front. Something like that. For this case, we're just going to cheat. We're just going to make that a solid shape. Finish our sketch, and we'll select these elements, push them through. Now we're going to say that the only object we want to cut is that body, which is body 285. Which we can double check. Yep, that looks like it. So we can turn off all the others. And then OK. Okay, that gives us that. So let's do this window. Let's get that in there, this shape. Do the same thing. Start on the same face. You can select the face first that you want to sketch, or we can do sketch and then whichever face we want to sketch on. Doesn't really matter. So we're going to come sort of down, about here, and then along. Something like that, I think. Close that up. Same thing again. Finish our sketch. Go to our extrude. Now we can just select this part of the sketch. We don't need to cut anything with the other side. So we do that, bring it across, and again just tell it we just want that one body 285, and then press OK. Okay, so that's sort of looking like something. This is a bit annoying that this sort of intersects here. So we can kind of cheat that for now. Add a little chamfer on this edge. So we'll tuck that in so it just tucks underneath the roof. So we'll cancel that. What we'll do is we will do a cut across there. So we will do create a sketch on this face. Now that line already exists that I want. Now I could try and draw an arc and match it, or this is where that project faces comes in. So I can project this face and this face, finish sketch, and now that information is there for me to be able to grab that, rotate round, slide it through, specify which object I want to cut, and then OK. And now when I do that little chamfer on here, just to tuck it under the edge, that looks better. Okay. Other things we can have a quick play at is we can look at the shell command, which is here. Now faces/body, we can select. I can never remember in Fusion whether these faces are the ones that are shelled. I think they might be. So everywhere we want open like that, and then we can specify distance. There we go. So that's like 50. Just so it doesn't look like such a heavy block in there now. Kind of works. Now we could work on getting this this part of the roof to kind of blend in a little bit more. Just pop something in maybe to represent these wings, just again so we can assess the size of things, make sure we're happy with what's going on. So I'm gonna start a sketch. I'm gonna choose this face here. So just looking at my reference over here, so I think these wings are going to kind of come out something like that maybe. Just going to do these very simple. You know, we could do this with curves and all sorts, and we will do when we come back to replace them, but this will give us something to work with. Go over to the middle, and I'm just going to come up to this top edge. I'm going to sort of blend that down to there. So I've got this weird little bit of sketch here where, you know, as I'm drawing that out, I've realised that's a bit of a weird angle. Let's smooth it out a bit. So I want to trim that off. So under the Modify tab, when you've got sketches, you've got this helpful little sort of pair of scissors icon. I can click that, and as we hover over the lines, it will highlight red the bits that it's going to snip away. So we want to get rid of that piece there. There we go. Finish our sketch. Do our extrude. Okay. Now, because we're intersecting other bodies, it wants, or thinks you want to do a cut. Change it again to new body. And I think it comes a little bit that way. And what we'll do is, instead of one side, we'll do two sides. And that way we're able to sort of pull this out a little bit. Something like that. Okay. So it's going to give us a little bit of a block size. Okay, so now bring this back over. We've got this sort of rear end to deal with. So we can kind of just drop in something, a couple of shapes to make this up. Maybe we'll put these back wings on, a little bit of a boot. Okay, a few little things left. Yeah, okay. So let's do this back section on here. We're going to create our own construction plane this time. So do an offset plane. I'm going to choose our middle face here. I'm just going to bring it out. So it just comes sort of beyond. Click on our faces here. Yeah, so it's just beyond the surface of our model. Choose OK. So now we can create a sketch. We can choose that plane there. Now we can draw this back section here. So that seems to sort of come maybe here. So maybe up at a bit of a fancy sci-fi angle. Just sail over the back end. Go up again here, and then we'll bring it down. Something like that. Finish our sketch. Extrude. Now we vaguely covered this before, but instead of specifying a distance, we can choose up to object. I can then specify this face, and it gives us that kind of shape. And if we set that to two sides, we can also bring it out this way a little bit as well. We won't join it to the body. We'll again set that as a new body as opposed to join it to an existing body. Press OK. And bring this back over. In here, it looks like there's a slight kind of hollow to that. We've got this nice twisting chamfer. When we come to it, we'll do that as a lofted cut, and that will allow us to do a cut that sort of twists as it goes across, but we'll deal with that another day. Oh, just spotted one of my favourite things. Like that. There's another little bit hose just running in there. We can get to grips with more of those curvy, pesky 3D splines. It's also nice we've got a repeat element down this end, these little triangles that sort of match what was going on at this end, so it sort of balances out the whole design. So let's just make a little representation of that, something along those lines there. Okay, we'll do a little quick shell, select this face, gives us something like that, which I think would have a bit more of a scoop to it, but that's kind of how it is in the reference. Kind of add this round section to it. I think same thing again. Start a sketch on this face. I'll do a quick thing. I think it's sort of, let's put that round element in just to get us some grounding of where we're going. Maybe 200. So, and then up to the back. Okay, then we're just going to make it the same profile shape as this. Finish our sketch. Let's do a quick extrude. I'm going to select both of these elements. Doesn't have to come out far, maybe something like that. New body. Okay. I'm just going to round these edges off. Something like that. Then we're going to add a chamfer. Now, let's bring this over. So we've got this sort of chamfer detail here. This isn't like a hard edge. It's got a sort of softness to it. And then this round. So let's just pop that round back in. And we've already drawn that in this sketch. So we can select the same sketch, do an extrude. Again, this is an annoying thing with Fusion. So if you click on the sketch, it tells you what the sketch number is, although you guys can't see it because it'll be directly behind the picture of me. But it will tell you there that that's sketch 48. So we can go under our sketches, scroll down, sketch 48, we'll turn that back on. Now that it's switched on, we can do an extrude. We can now click on that shape. We can bring it through. I'm going to do an offset or to an object. Set it to be a join in this instance. But I'm going to do a small offset. So I'll do that as sort of 20. To object, that face, offset, there we go, 20. Just so it sits slightly proud. We can do a little taper as well at this point. Set that to -5. Okay. Just add a little quick chamfer. Something like that. Too much. 10. Yep. Okay, that's getting there. Folder, collapse our sketches folder, so it's not scrolling up and down quite so much. Let's bring back on our image, so that's that piece. Now we've got this blue section here, this kind of wing. I'm guessing this is like an exhaust pipe. The really severe slice to it, but literally edgy. I like it. So again, we do another little sketch on this face. Just going to draw a shape out. Pop this open on the other window so I can see what I'm doing. Already I can see that circle there is too small, but I'm not going to get bogged down. This is blocking out. This is why we're doing this. So let's start here, up to the edge of that circle, up at a nice angle. It goes up quite high actually, to about here, back across, straight down. A bit of an angle, bit of a taper there, a bit more severe there, and then back up. Something peculiar like that. Now, for some reason, not got that line in there, so we'll just add that back. There we go. Okay. Finish sketch. Extrude shape. Select all the parts. Bring it out. Go something like that. Set it as a new body. Okay. So what have we got going on? Well, this is a smooth edge. Bring this back over. This is a little smooth edge here, so we'll make that into a fillet. Okay. Make this into a quick chamfer at the bottom. Maybe with this piece and this piece. Chamfer, select both edges. There we go. Right. Now I'll put another little fillet around the top there just to smooth it all down again. Okay. That's kind of giving us something. Let's put this little back box section on here. Looks quite small and shallow. So we'll start another sketch. Do it on this face here. And I think that's going to sort of be, it's quite high up. Maybe here, bit of an angle that way. Maybe, yeah, connects up to here like this. This makes sense. Finish our sketch. Do an extrude. It's very difficult to keep talking while doing this. I kind of keep just getting lost in my own thoughts. And this one we will do up to object. So instead of distance, up to object, face. We don't want to join it. New body. Okay. So now we can add a little, do a top-down view on this so we see what's going on. So it's got a bit of an angle to it. I think it's a little bit more than that. So I'm going to just add another little chamfer here. But I don't think it's that severe. So we're set to do an equal distance at the moment. So we're only specifying one distance of the chamfer, and both edges of it are going to be the same. So instead, let's go for two distances. And now we can drag this one independently. So you have a little bit more control about what's going on. That looks kind of cool. You know, for the sake of it, we'll just quickly chuck in a couple of fillets just to smooth it all out, make it look like some body work. Something like that. And again, we can use that shell feature. Just it seems to be open in the back here. So we do the same thing. Now, that's going to look odd. When we mirror this, we'll have this strip running down the middle, which we don't want. So we can skip to the end here. I'm going to delete these three. These are the ones from at the end of the last lesson. And In fact, I believe that mirror was as well, because we've now mirrored those parts, so we're going to delete that. There we go. So that was our shell feature here. So right click on this, choose edit feature. Unselect faces and bodies. And this is what really does me in with Fusion. Like, why can't I reselect and choose multiple pieces? So we've got no choice now but to delete that and go again. So this time we want this piece and this piece. These two faces are going to be open, and then there we go. So now when we mirror that, that's going to make a lot more sense. Let's quickly pop on these wings at the back here. They've got a sort of an angled back kind of section. They're not sticking straight out. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll create our own little construction plane, so we can put them up at roughly the right sort of height. We're going to select a plane to offset from. We're going to bring that up. Just going to do a little side view so we can see where we are. About there, looks good. We'll start our sketch. Choose that plane. I'm just going to draw on slightly smaller than the front ones. Well, maybe that. Finish sketch. Going to extrude that quite thin. New body. I mean, they're less than 100. There's probably 60, something like that. Choose OK. Now, that's not exactly where we want it, but we are just sort of boshing things out here. So if I make this big again, under our modifier we've got this move copy option. So I can select this body. I can move it up here. We can rotate it. Just play about with, so I can set a pivot. I just want to grab from this back corner here. Now I can kind of set pivot done, there we go, and then I can rotate that round, or just sort of embed it in there a little bit like that. Okay. So when you come to move stuff, it just appears in your feature tree as another feature. So you can always go back and right click and edit the feature and readjust and move things around again. So I don't think this corner is quite embedded in enough. So we'll just push that back. Maybe just 50 mil, something like that. Also, if we look at the angle of these, that's not quite right to what I've drawn. So we can either do this as another chamfer. Something like so. Okay. So if we want to check how this is going to look in terms of our scale and width of everything, we're going to create another mirror. So I normally do at the end of each episode. Choose our bodies. We're going to select everything. And then our mirror plane, we're going to select this one. And choose OK. Now we have the sort of start of our car. Now, I'm inclined to believe that it is too wide. It's looking a bit of an odd proportion. Let's get these side by side again so we see what's going on. This is all much narrower at the back here. These are definitely a little bit closer together. There's more of a taper to this roof, but we can deal with that when we come to swap it out and replace it. And I think the back end is looking quite big. So we take our timeline back, I'm going to create a new plane, new offset plane, offset from our mirror line here. And we're going to just take, I don't know, say 200 mil, doesn't need to be much, off of there. And now if we try the same thing again, I go in and edit that mirror feature and reselect our new mirror plane. It's just going to bring everything in a little bit more. Now that instantly looks better to me. But if you're not 100% convinced, nice thing now is we can right click on our new plane that we created down in our feature tree here, right click, edit feature, and we can just mess about with this dimension. So maybe we make it a little bit wider again, 150, and it will then update the features that follow that, in our case our mirror. So other things we can quickly do with this is we can start chucking on some colours, which if we do before we mirror it, we'll see whether or not it's smart enough to take that information over. So under appearance here, so we've just right clicked on an object and we've got all these different appearances going on. So paint, we've got metallic paints, we've got a nice blue metallic. So let's grab that, we'll just drag it on. Nice. And once we've applied a material into our scene, our model, it's going to appear up here. So we don't have to drag it from down here again, we can drag it from up here. So well, that bit was blue. So a quick look at our reference. Okay, so we've got our wings are blue, and that element of our hub there is blue. So we'll do that as well. So that piece, blue, that bit blue, that bit blue. Yeah. Now we've got this sort of shiny metallic black. So we do that for the rest of it, I think. And finally for that bit at the back. Okay. Now if we wanted to add a little bit of detail, we've got this sort of steel. So we can kind of ping out some bits and pieces in a slightly different material. Now again, if we forward our tree to include our mirror, it's not going to take everything with it. But that's fine, we don't panic. Took those bits. I'll tell you what, if we delete that feature, right click delete, and we do it again, I reckon it'll take it this time. So mirror, bodies, select everything. Our plane is going to be our new little offset plane that's still tucked in here. Okay. Yeah, go. And then under here, which again I don't think you guys could see last time, we've got these little options down the bottom. I tend to have set under camera perspective with ortho faces. So my view when I'm rotating round is always set to perspective, but if I click on a face of my view cube here, it snaps and does an orthographic view as opposed to a perspective view, which makes life much easier. Also under display settings you have visual style, and we can just switch that to shaded. That'll kind of give us a better idea of what's going on. So now we've got some blocks in here. Over the next sort of couple of days, hopefully we can do like all this whole blue roof section. We're going to do that with surfaces. So we're going to cover some lofted cuts when we come to do this back section in here. I'm going to
pocket the top out, and we'll add another one of these nice sort of braided hoses running through there. There's still some exhaust ports, and there's blank spaces like this that just don't appear in the concept art, so it's going to be up to us to work out how we're going to fill that in, how we're going to give that some interest on the back. I'm imagining more kind of maybe pipes and cables, things leading up to the exhausts. But hopefully that's been of some use. And again, if there's anything you can think of that you want raised, any questions, any queries, leave a message, leave a comment, and stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow.